My dear friend, I know you are there, and I can feel the weight on your shoulders right now. Is your mind still wandering amidst the worries of yesterday, or rehearsing for the pressures of tomorrow? Stop. Right here, within this room, you're safe. You do not need to play the role of the strong one. You do not need to be successful. And you do not need to please anyone anymore. Tonight, let me take you on a special healing journey. We will not be learning any lessons. Rather, we will borrow ancient wisdom from the book of James to cleanse away the dust of the world. We will look deep within, peeling away the noisy layers to rediscover the most pristine stillness of the soul. If you are ready to grant yourself the right to be loved and to rest, please press the subscribe button right now as a commitment that you choose peace over anxiety. And now, relax your jaw. Take a deep breath, filling your chest. And as you exhale, let every burden drift away with this promise. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Close your eyes. Let us begin. Now, let your body sink a little deeper into the soft mattress. Feel this support. You do not need to hold on to anything anymore. Imagine that every muscle in your body, from the crown of your head down to your tight shoulders, spreading to your lower back and reaching the very tips of your toes, is being untied from invisible knots. Inhale. Receive peace. Exhale. Let go of all defenses. Today was a long day, wasn't it? Perhaps you had to face storms. It might have been a hurtful word, a broken plan, or simply a vague sense of exhaustion that cannot be named. Your mind, out of habit, wants to rewind those scenes. It wants to analyze, wants to argue, wants to find out who is right and who is wrong. But I am here to tell you, it is time to stop. It is time to close the door on today. Listen to a great paradox, an ancient secret that St. James wrote down for heavy souls like yours. Count it all joy. My brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, consider trials as complete joy. Sounds strange, doesn't it? How can pain be joy? How can this weariness be a blessing? Our logical minds want to resist that. But look deeper, with the eyes of the Spirit, with the piercing gaze that Leo Tolstoy once cast upon human suffering to find the light. Imagine you are a bar of pure gold lying deep within the earth. To become pure, gold must pass through fire. Your difficulties today, that disappointment, that pressure, they are not punishments. They are the fire. And you are gold. That scorching fire does not come to destroy you. It comes to burn away the impurities, the superfluous worries, the weak egos clinging to you. James continues, "For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness." Steadfastness. Taste this word. It is not about bracing yourself to endure. It is the stability of a mountain before the storm. It is the stillness of the ocean floor even when high waves and strong winds rage on the surface. Today, you survived. You overcame. You are more steadfast than you think. Take a deep breath and tell yourself, "I am being tempered." What hurt you today, right now in this sleep, is being transformed into strength. Visualize the fire of trial slowly softening, turning into a warm light, wrapping around your heart. You have lost nothing. You are only becoming more whole. As the final promise of this passage, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Lacking in nothing. Let this phrase seep into your subconscious. In this space, you lack no money, you lack no love, you lack no recognition. You are whole. You are complete. You are a masterpiece being perfected by the hand of the Creator. Nothing is left out. No pain is meaningless. Relax your shoulders a little more. The worries about tomorrow, the regrets about yesterday, they are just ashes falling away after the refining process. Remaining here, right now, is only you, the pure gold version of yourself. Pure, clear, and infinitely peaceful. Do you feel the lightness spreading? That is the feeling of acceptance. You no longer need to fight against circumstances. You only need to observe them. Smile at them as an old friend bringing a harsh but precious lesson. And then let them drift away. Patience has done its work. Now is the time for rest. But I know, even when the body has relaxed, somewhere in your mind questions still remain. Whispering voices. But what must I do next? Which choice is the right one? What if I make a mistake? That confusion, that absence of answers, is also part of the human condition. Do not worry. We will not let those questions torment you in your sleep. We will seek wisdom from a higher source, where all storms must bow down. We just spoke of unanswered questions. I know, right at this moment, your mind might be like a noisy marketplace. You are picking up and putting down choices. Should I do this or choose that way? What if? If only. Those thoughts keep tearing at you, pulling you in two different directions. The Bible calls this state double-minded, a fragmented mind. And you know, nothing destroys sleep faster than that fragmentation. It makes you unsteady, restless, unable to find a foothold. Listen to this vivid and insightful description, but let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. Like a wave of the sea. Imagine your mind right now is that sea surface. Your anxieties, your calculations are the waves. They are driven by the winds of life, pushed, crashing into each other ceaselessly, up and down, merging and dissolving, noisy and chaotic. That is why you feel tired. You are trying to swim against the current, trying to control the direction of every wave in the dark night. But tonight, I invite you to do something different, something radically healing. Instead of trying to flatten the sea surface, dive down. Inhale. Imagine you are slowly sinking below that stormy water surface. Exhale. You're going deep into the heart of the ocean. The deeper you go, the softer the light becomes. The deeper you go, the noise of the wind and waves above grows fainter, fainter, until it ceases completely. At this depth, there is no wind, no storm, no being double-minded, only eternal stillness. This is where faith dwells. This is where you connect with the wisdom you are seeking. You see, your confusion is not a fault. It is only a sign that you are missing a lighthouse, and the promise for you lies here, gentle and full of tolerance. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. Pay attention to the phrase, without reproach. The Creator does not reproach you because you are bewildered. He does not reproach you because you do not yet know what to do tomorrow. He is waiting to grant you wisdom, generously, abundantly. Therefore, right now, in this sacred silence, practice the ritual of surrender. Do not try to solve the problem yourself anymore. Bundle up that doubt, that fear, that hesitation, and place it into the hands of the one who gives generously. Whisper in your mind, I do not know the answer, and I accept that. I ask for your wisdom, and then let go. Believe that while you sleep, wisdom from on high will be at work. It will rearrange the order in your mind. It will clear the path for you. You do not need to stay awake to guard your life, for the one who keeps you never slumbers. The sensation of floating in the warm waters of faith is pleasant, isn't it? You are no longer the wave tossed by the wind. You are the deep ocean. You are far vaster than your worries. The unsteadiness has vanished. Your body is now heavy, sinking deep into the soft bed, like an anchor that has touched the soft sand bottom. Peace, stability, consistency. When the mind has ceased wavering, when the storms have receded far overhead, we begin to see more clearly what we are holding. There are things we thought were important, vital, but under the gaze of eternity, how fragile they are. For this sleep to be complete, we need to shed one more layer, the layer of fame and material things, which often creates invisible pressures weighing heavily on your chest every night. We are in the deepest and quietest place of the soul. Here, in this gentle darkness, I want you to look back at the character you have played all day today. Perhaps today you were a powerful leader or a diligent employee. Maybe you were a responsible father or mother, or someone struggling to find their footing. Society out there has affixed so many labels to your chest: success, failure, wealthy, needy, and those very labels, sometimes are heavier than boulders. They force you to brace yourself, to maintain an image, to fear the judgmental gaze of the world. But listen to the whisper of truth, the reminder of the fleeting nature of all worldly glory. Because like a flower of the grass, he will pass away. For the sun rises with its scorching heat and withers the grass. Its flower falls, and its beauty perishes. Imagine this life as a field of wildflowers. Your efforts, your reputation, your money, they shine bright under the midday sun, but the sun must eventually set. The scorching heat of ambition must give way to the cool night. My dear friend, you do not need to bloom 24 hours a day. That is unnatural. Right now, you are allowed to fade. You are allowed to wither a little to rest. This fading in sleep is not death, but the necessary humility for renewal. Imagine you are standing before a large mirror. But this time, you're not looking to adjust your attire. You are looking to shed. Take off the watch reminding you of the urgency of time. Take off the mantle of social status. Remove the rings, the jewelry of pride or insecurity. No matter who you are out there, when entering sleep, we are all equal. Sleep is the most impartial judge, blurring all boundaries between the noble and the lowly. Before the door of dreams, there are no VIP seats, no business class tickets, only bare souls seeking refuge in the Creator. Listen to the royal law, the only law valid in the kingdom of sleep. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. But tonight, that neighbor is yourself. Are you loving yourself enough to allow yourself to rest? Or are you still judging yourself for things left undone? Do not be the harsh judge of yourself anymore. Do not discriminate against your own soul. Do not favor your anxieties while neglecting the peace huddled in a dark corner. Inhale. Receive the sacred bareness. exhale. Let go of every role. Feel the relief of not having to be someone. You are simply being. Like a wild blade of grass that has shed its pride under the moonlight, prostrating itself upon Mother Earth. Mother Earth does not judge the blade of grass. Mother Earth embraces it. In this absolute humility, you find a dignity more precious than all the treasures in the world. It is the dignity of a child loved unconditionally, not because of what you do, but because of your very existence. Your body is now weightless, as if floating in the void. No more pressure, no more prejudice, no more comparison. Only the breath remains, steady, peaceful. And when you have cast off the outer layer, we must proceed to the final step of purification. There is something sharper than a sword, more dangerous than a storm, something that frequently disturbs your sleep with echoes in your head. That is the tongue. The words you have spoken and the words others have thrown at you. We need to extinguish that fire so the mind truly becomes a still lake. You have seen yourself bare and equal before the universe. But I know, even when no one judges you anymore, there is still a voice that refuses to rest. It is the voice inside your head. It keeps muttering, replaying past conversations. Why did I say that? I should have kept silent. What must I say tomorrow to convince them? The tongue and words, though formless, possess a terrifying power. It can burn down a whole forest of the soul with just a small spark of anger or regret. But tonight, we will not let that fire consume your sleep. Look at this majestic image to see how great a power of control you possess. Look at the ships also. Though they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. Imagine your entire life, those chaotic worries, those colossal burdens, are the great ship amidst the open sea. Storms may howl, waves may push, but the ship's direction does not depend on the storm. It depends on a very small rudder. And that rudder, right now, is your will. You are the captain. You do not need to scream at the storm. You just need to gently turn the rudder. Steer away from the sea of conflict. Steer away from the grievances of yesterday. Point the bow toward the Bay of Peace. There, the water is still as a sheet. Inhale. Your hand is holding the rudder firm. Exhale. You steer into the still waters. Feel the ship of your life gliding smoothly. The noises of rivalry, of jealousy, of sharp words are receding far behind the stern. They sink into the deep ocean floor. You are safe. And when the ship has anchored, a final fear often creeps in. The fear of tomorrow. We often lie awake to plan, to control the future, like calculating merchants. Tomorrow I will go to this city, trade and make a profit. We brace ourselves, fearing that if we overslept, the world would collapse. But listen to this naked yet liberating truth, a truth that even the deepest souls must bow to acknowledge. For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. You are a mist. Reflect on that. Human life is like vapor, appearing for a moment and then vanishing immediately. Does it sound sad? No, it is absolute freedom. If you are only mist, why must you carry the whole world on your shoulders? Mist does not try to support the sky. Mist just drifts, gently, floating, yielding to the wind. Tonight, allow yourself to become mist. Do not try to freeze into ice to resist. Melt away. Relax your muscles. Let your body become limp, weightless, melting into the bedding, melting into the gentle darkness. You cannot control tomorrow, and that is perfectly fine, because there is one who holds tomorrow in your place. Instead of saying, "I must do it," whisper the mantra of sweet surrender. If the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. If the Lord wills, hand the control back to God. He is the keeper of time. If He wants you to wake up tomorrow, He will grant you vitality. For now, your only duty is to trust and rest. Imagine you are lying on a small boat amidst a vast misty lake. You are rowing no more. You let go of the oars. The gentle current carries you along. You do not need to know where the shore is, for the great pilot is there with you. The feeling of complete letting go. No more past, no more future. Only this peaceful present remains. Your body is sinking into the deepest state of relaxation. My dear friend, let your breath lead you even deeper inside, leaving behind the noisy world out there. We are stepping into a most sacred and quiet space. Imagine your mind right now as an ancient, vast synagogue where candles are flickering and silence encompasses all. Inhale. The doors of the synagogue are opening. Exhale. You step in, finding for yourself the most comfortable seat. Throughout the long day, the synagogue of your mind has welcomed so many guests. There were noisy guests, named responsibility. There were glittering guests, wearing full jewelry, named fame or success. And there were also stained, weary guests, named sadness or weakness. St. James, with a gaze that penetrates the human heart, painted a picture of the injustice we often unintentionally commit right within our own hearts. For if a man wearing a gold ring and fine clothing comes into your assembly, and a poor man in shabby clothing also comes in, visualize that scene. A man enters with a gold ring and fine clothing. That is the metaphor for the worries about status, the cravings for recognition, the pressures to be perfect that you carried all day today. They are dazzling. They demand attention. They scream that they are important. And at the same time, a poor man in shabby clothing also enters. That's your soul right now. That is your exhausted body. That is the inner child longing for rest, unadorned, unglamorous, bare, and weary. How have you treated these two guests? Do you often say to those dazzling worries, "You sit here in a good place"? Do you invite work pressures to sit in the most solemn seat in your head, even after getting into bed? Do you cater to them? Listen to them, letting them take over the entire stage of the mind. And then, do you turn to your weary soul and coldly say, "You stand over there," or "Sit down at my feet"? Do you force your need for rest to stand waiting, or crouch at the feet of worldly calculations? Tonight, we will correct this verdict. This is the time for your conscience to speak, not to accuse, but to restore the order of love. Have you not then made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Do not become a harsh judge of yourself. Do not discriminate against your own weariness. Your weakness is not a sin. Your exhaustion is not an enemy to be imprisoned or ignored. Look deep into the eyes of the poor man in your soul. Look in the way Leo Tolstoy looked at the mud-stained peasants to see in them the holiest beauty. Truth lies in that shabbiness, not in that frivolous gold ring. Listen, the promise for the weakest part of you is ringing out. Listen, my beloved brothers. Has not God chosen those who are poor in the world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom? God chose the poor. God chose the part of your soul that is tired, that feels lacking, to grant the richness of peaceful sleep. He did not choose the arrogant ego worrying about tomorrow. He chose you right now in a state of complete letting go. Therefore, perform a brave act. Invite the guest wearing the gold ring, the anxieties about success, money to gently leave the synagogue. Tell them the trial has ended. See you tomorrow morning. And turn to the poor guest, your body and soul, longing for rest. Guide him to the softest, most solemn seat in your mind. Say to yourself, "Tonight, my rest is king. Everything else is just fleeting." Feel that appreciation spreading throughout your body. You are honoring your own life. You are no longer a slave to outer glitz. You are returning to your true, simple and beloved self. Inhale. Receive the richness of faith in the soul. Exhale. Let go of the heavy coat of the world. When the noisy guests have left, the synagogue of your mind becomes absolutely still. Only you and the sacred presence remain. This space is truly safe. No more comparison, no more judgment. And as you begin to feel this gentle equality seeping into every cell, as you learn to treat yourself kindly, we will together step into an even deeper level of healing. Because when we have stopped judging, only then can we truly understand what the law of perfect love is. When the uninvited guests have departed from the synagogue of the mind, and you have invited your weariness to occupy the most solemn seat, a new silence begins to descend. But I know, within that silence, sometimes a faint voice remains. The voice of the harsh judge named perfection. Perhaps today you performed 10 deeds well, yet misspoke in just one instance. Perhaps you tried your utmost, but the results were not as desired. And your mind, following the habit of a perfectionist, keeps clinging to that tiny error. You blame yourself. You torment yourself. You feel you are not good enough. Listen to the highest decree, the law standing above all laws, known as the royal law, which, if you understand, you will find the key of liberation for tonight's sleep. If you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You are doing well. Love your neighbor as yourself. We often hear this as a command to love others, but tonight, let us reverse it. Are you loving yourself? You are the closest neighbor to your soul. If you are harsh with yourself, if you cannot forgive your own errors, how can you find peace? St. James offers a stern yet profound philosophical warning regarding the nature of the law. For whoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become guilty of all of it. It sounds terrifying, does it not? To fail in one point is to be guilty of all. But view it through the lens of liberation. This statement shatters the illusion of human perfection. It tells you you cannot be perfect. No one can keep every rule of life in its entirety. If perfection is impossible, then why do you lie here, losing sleep over a trivial mistake? Why torment yourself over a slip of the tongue or a wrong decision? The attempt to be perfect is an unbearable burden. Lay it down right now. You do not need to be a saint to sleep well. You do not need a perfect workday to deserve rest. You only need to be human, a human of flesh and blood, with mistakes and a yearning to be forgiven. Replace the harsh code in your head with a new code, the law of liberty. So speak and so act as those who are to be judged under the law of liberty. the law of liberty. Taste this sweet phrase. In the kingdom of sleep, you are free from expectations. You are free from the past of today. And here is the most potent sedative, the mantra that heals every wound of self-esteem. For judgment is without mercy to one who has shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment. Mercy triumphs over judgment. Imagine within your mind there is a scale. On one side are judgments, criticisms, and errors. The scale is tilting heavily, pressing upon your chest. But now, from the heavens above, a stream of mercy pours down. It is gentle, warm, and full of power. It washes away that harsh scale of justice. Mercy does not calculate. Mercy does not scrutinize. Mercy only embraces. Say to yourself, I have mercy for my toil today. I have mercy for my unfulfilled efforts, and I choose to forgive myself. Inhale. Receive mercy filling your chest. Exhale. Breathe out the sigh of relief of one who has just been acquitted. No verdict hangs over your head any longer. The trial has concluded. The judge has departed, leaving only the benevolent Father spreading his arms wide to welcome the weary child home. This weightless sensation is freedom. When you no longer brace yourself to prove your innocence, you can truly rest. Your body now softens, melting into the mattress. You are absolutely safe within the law of love. And as the mind has been liberated from judgment, we need to take this healing even deeper, transforming it from a thought into a state of physical being. For faith is not merely concepts in the mind. Faith is an act, the act of completely letting go of this physical body. A mercy has soothed your mind, but you know, we humans are strange creatures. Sometimes, the mind says, I'm fine. I want to sleep. But the body refuses to listen. It remains tense. The hands are still clenched. The legs are still restless. And the heart still beats to the rhythm of anxiety. That is the division between word and deed, between faith and body. Listen to St. James describe this painful division with an image that is ordinary yet haunting. If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and filled," without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? Look, that brother lacking food and clothing is your own body. Your body is starving for rest. It is naked before the cold winds of daily pressures. It is shivering, and you, your rational mind, how do you usually treat it? You only speak empty words. Go in peace. sleep. Don't worry anymore. Hamdur, but you do not give the body what it needs. You say be warmed, but you do not pull the blanket over your soul. You say be filled, but you do not nourish it with deep breaths. Those empty words. What good is that tonight? We will use empty words no more. We will not just believe that we will sleep. We will act so that sleep may come. And the act of faith in this moment is not to do one more thing, but to stop completely. Listen to this powerful truth. So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Faith without works is dead. If you believe you are safe in God's hands, prove it to your body. Prove it how? By dismantling the defense of the muscles. Right now, practice the act of faith. I want you to direct your attention to your forehead. Is it furrowed? Release it. That is an act. Pay attention to the jaw that is clenched tight. Gently separate the teeth. Let the tongue fall freely. That's an act. Pay attention to the shoulders raised high as if trying to hold up the ceiling. Let them drop. Heavy. That is an act. When you actively relax every fiber of muscle, you are speaking to your body in the language of practical love, not empty words. You are giving it the things needed for the body. You are covering your soul with a blanket. The greatest deception of man is to say he trusts in tomorrow, yet lies awake to guard the night. That is a faith without evidence. Tonight, the evidence of your faith is this steady breathing. The evidence of trust is eyes shut tight. The evidence of surrender is hands completely limp. Feel the reconnection. When action matches belief, a miracle happens. Life returns. Not the life of anxiety, but the life of peace. For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead. Body apart from the spirit. In ancient Greek, spirit pneuma also means breath. A body without breath is a dead body. A sleep without the deep relaxation of breath is merely a temporary escape. Invite the spirit back to the body. Inhale. Bring life. Bring pneuma into every corner of the lungs. Exhale. Let life seep down into the belly, down to the thighs, down to the very toes. Do you feel it? A pleasant numbness is spreading. That is when body and spirit become one. No more conflict. No more hypocrisy of the mind. You are living most truly, most completely in this rest. Your body has been filled with stillness. It has been warmed with safety. And now, as the body has obediently sunk deep, as faith has turned into the act of letting go, we are ready for the final step of Act 2, a spiritual leap. We will look at great historical mirrors, those who dared to bet everything on faith, to see just how great and sacred your surrender tonight truly is. Your body has listened. Your breath has harmonized. But for the soul to be truly liberated, we need to look at examples of courage. Because you know what? Going to sleep while the heart is still full of worries is an act of extraordinary courage. Remember Patriarch Abraham. Remember the desolate Mount Moriah, where he performed the greatest act of faith of his life. He did not just say, "I believe in God." He acted. He placed his most beloved son, his only hope, Isaac, upon the altar. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered up his son Isaac on the altar tonight? Your bed is that Mount Moriah, and this soft pillow is the altar. What is your Isaac? Is it the passionate project you fear might fail? Is it the child, the loved one you are ceaselessly worrying about? Is it the ego, the honor, the calculations for the future? Those are the most precious things, the things you want to hold on to tightest. You fear that if you let go, close your eyes, everything will collapse. But take courage. Do as Abraham did. Cradle those precious worries. Gently place them upon the altar of sleep, not to kill them, but to surrender them to the Creator. Abraham raised the knife, ready to let go of everything, because he believed that God has the power to raise the dead to life. You too, believe likewise. When you let go, when you sink into sleep, you are saying to the universe, "I believe you will keep these things better than I can. I believe that tomorrow you will return to me life and hope more radiant than today." Listen to the completion of faith. You see that faith was active along with his works, and faith was completed by his works. Faith is perfected by works. Your sleep tonight is the act that perfects faith. If you stay awake to worry, your faith is still incomplete. But when you close your eyes, breathe out a long sigh and sink deep into the unconscious. That is when you declare, "It is finished. I trust completely." And what is the result of that absolute surrender? The noblest title a human can reach. And he was called a friend of God. A friend of God. In this sleep, you are not a slave to work, not a victim of circumstance. You are a friend of God. You are invited into his private rest, where no storm can touch, but perhaps some part of you still feels unworthy. You think Abraham was a saint, but me, I am full of mistakes. My past is not clean. Then look to another figure, one standing at the bottom of society, but who was also justified by works, Rahab. And in the same way was not also Rahab, the prostitute, justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way. Rahab, the prostitute, the one despised by the whole world. But she did one thing. She opened the door to welcome strangers, the messengers, and then opened the window to release them onto a safer path. Your mind is also like Rahab's house. There were messengers who visited you today. Bad news, mistakes, painful memories. You cannot deny their presence, but you have the power of Rahab. You have the power to send them out by another way. Do not imprison those sorrows in your bedroom. Do not let them sleep with you. Imagine you are opening a window of the soul facing a peaceful field. Say to negative thoughts, to feelings of guilt, I have received you. I have understood the message. But now it is time for you to go. Go in peace along the path of oblivion. Look, they are leaving. One by one, dark shadows climb out the window, vanishing into the vast night. The house of your mind is now empty and pure. Whatever your past, however stained you feel, this act of sending away anxiety has made you righteous. You are forgiven. You are accepted. Inhale the purity of a new beginning. Exhale. Close the window. Only safety and warmth remain inside. Now, there is nothing left to hold back. No Isaac to worry about keeping. No messengers to disturb. The altar is prepared. The house is clean. A deep peace, surpassing all understanding, is slowly pulling a soft black velvet curtain over your eyes. Your eyelids are heavy, ready for a journey into the land of healing dreams. My dear friend, we have walked a long path through the valleys of emotion. Your body has begun to learn the language of letting go. But I know there is a part of you, the smartest, sharpest part, that is still trying to stay awake. That is the part of the mind that always wants to analyze, wants to explain, and wants to control everything. It is the teacher within you. Today, perhaps you had to play the role of a guide. You had to teach your children, guide your colleagues, or even try to instruct life to follow your will. You carry on your shoulders the burden of the one who holds the answers. But the night is late, and the word of Scripture brings advice, or rather, a loving warning to liberate you from that heavy pressure. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. Judged with greater strictness. Reflect on this. Why do you feel so tired? Is it because you have unintentionally placed yourself upon the podium of life? When you try to be the teacher, when you try to prove yourself right, when you try to correct others, when you try to control the outcome, You are bringing upon yourself a strict verdict. You force yourself to be perfect. You do not allow yourself to make mistakes. And that very strictness is the enemy of sleep. The teacher in your head is holding a ruler, scrutinizing every word you spoke today. Why did I slip up? I should have said it that way to be sharper. Tomorrow I must teach them a lesson. That voice keeps rambling, forcing you to prepare the lesson plan for tomorrow, right when you need to rest. But tonight, I invite you to do something contrary to instinct. Step down from the podium. Imagine you are standing in a large lecture hall where you have been monologuing all day. The spotlight is shining on you, scorching and blinding. You are wearing a heavy robe, the robe of responsibility and knowledge. Now, look around. The lecture hall is empty. The audience has gone home. The people you want to convince, want to change, they have all gone to sleep. So, for whom are you still standing there, lecturing? Inhale. Your hand touches the knot of the robe. Exhale. Take it off. Let that heavy robe fall to the floor. The moment the robe leaves your shoulders, you are no longer the teacher. You're no longer the one responsible for saving the world. You do not need to be wise. You do not need to be strong. You do not need to have the answer to every problem. You return to being a small student of the universe. A student allowed to sit silently at the back of the class, allowed not to know, allowed to listen to the falling rain without needing to analyze the chemical composition of the rainwater. How relieving is the feeling of not knowing. That is the humility that the greatest souls like Tolstoy always yearn to return to. The simplicity of a child. A child does not lie awake worrying about the Earth's orbit. He simply believes the sun will rise, and he sleeps. Tell your racing mind, hush. Class is dismissed. I do not need to teach anyone anymore. I also do not need to teach myself. For we all stumble in many ways. That is the truth, and that is the comfort. You stumble. I stumble. No one is perfect. Therefore, take down the strictness. Do not judge the stumbles of today anymore. The dark night is very tolerant. It is ready to hide all your clumsiness within a soft velvet blanket. Feel the stillness spreading from the top of your head down. The head where the teacher's office is located is now turning off the lights. The wrinkles on the forehead relax. The gaze of scrutiny closes. Only gentle darkness remains. In this darkness, you need not guide anyone. You are allowed to let the Great Shepherd lead you. He will lead you to still waters, where there are no lectures, only the lullaby of restoration. And when you have accepted stepping down from the arrogant position of the ego, when you have accepted your smallness, you will begin to realize another great secret, a secret about power, that sometimes the smallest things are what control the whole life, and silence possesses power greater than 10,000 words. Let us look at those small objects, the bit and the ship's rudder, to learn how to navigate the boat of sleep tonight. When you have accepted letting go of the role of the macro controller, you return to humility. And within that very humility, you find true strength, not the strength of muscle, but the strength of navigation. Look at your mind right now. Is it still a bit wild, a bit restless, wanting to run around? It is like a mighty war horse refusing to return to the stable. It wants to gallop back to the past, then rear up towards the future. Its power is formidable, but also exhausting if not restrained. St. James, with a subtle observation of simple rural life, showed us how to soothe this horse of the mind. If we put bits into the mouths of horses so that they obey us, we guide their whole bodies as well. Visualize it. A large horse full of muscle, capable of running 1,000 miles, yet obediently following a tiny bit placed in its mouth. That bit does not hurt the horse. It is just a fulcrum, a signal. When the rider gently pulls the reins, the horse understands. It is time to slow down. It is time to turn onto the shady path. Tonight, your bit is the affirmation you whisper to yourself. Instead of letting the horse of the mind run wild with thoughts like, "What will happen tomorrow? I'm so worried." Gently place into its mouth a bit of peace. It is finished. I am safe. I choose rest. Just a small, gentle sentence, but it has the power to guide their whole bodies. When the mind receives the safe signal, your heart rate will slow down. Your muscles will soften. The wild horse inside you will stop neighing. It will bow its head to graze leisurely by the cool stream. You do not need to fight your thoughts. You just need to gently navigate them. Hush. Be good. Head towards peace. And if the image of the horse is not enough to calm the waves of your heart, look further out, towards the vast ocean of life, where giant ships are crossing the waves. Look at the ships also, though they are so large and are driven by strong winds. They are guided by a very small rudder, wherever the will of the pilot directs. Look. Those great ships, carrying the burdens of life, are being pushed by strong winds of circumstance. The wind of financial pressure, the wind of broken relationships, the wind of sickness. They scream, wanting to push your ship into the whirlpools. Do you feel small before those winds? But remember this: the wind does not decide the ship's direction. The rudder decides, and the rudder, that tiny thing, submerged under the water, unseen by anyone, possesses power greater than the storm. Right now, on this bed, you are the pilot, and your will holds the rudder. You cannot command the wind to stop blowing. You cannot change the events that happened today. But you can turn the rudder. Imagine your invisible hands placing themselves upon the rudder of the mind. Is the wind of anxiety blowing from the north? Do not confront it. Gently turn the rudder to the south, towards the Bay of Dreams. There, high mountains block the wind. There, the water surface is flat as a mirror. Whenever a negative thought rushes in like a giant wave, do not panic. Just nudge the rudder slightly. No, we are not going in that direction. We are going in the direction of gratitude. Whenever fear wants to drown you, turn the rudder. We are going in the direction of trust. Inhale. Feel the power of the helmsman. Exhale. Your ship is cutting through the waves, leaving the storm behind. The feeling of gliding is so smooth. The tiny rudder, the silence of the tongue, the orientation of the will is bringing the entire giant ship that is your life into a safe harbor. Do you see? You are not as helpless as you think. You hold control, not by bracing yourself, but by the subtlety of a gentle turn of the hand. The ship is slowing down. Slowing down. The sound of waves lapping against the hull now sounds like a steady rhythmic cradle. Creak. Murmur. Creak. Murmur. The engine is off. The sails are lowered. Only the gentle drifting remains on the velvet water of the night. And when the ship has anchored, when the horse has returned to the stable, we must be careful of one final danger. Something even smaller than the bit. Smaller than the rudder, but capable of destroying this piece in an instant if we do not keep watch. That is a small fire. Your ship has anchored, but look, on the deck, the ashes of today are still scattered. You know, there are days when we feel our soul is like a forest, just scorched. A burning sensation in the chest, a dry feeling in the throat. That is the consequence of words. It might be an angry word you accidentally uttered, or more painfully, the sharp words of others that have pierced your heart. St. James, with the eyes of a seasoned observer of nature, exclaimed a terrifying truth. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire, and the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is a fire in and Mamomo, just a small phrase. A small misunderstanding is enough to burn down a whole forest of peace that you have painstakingly cultivated. Tonight, that fire may still be smoldering in your head in the form of tormenting thoughts. Why did they say that? I shouldn't have. Tomorrow I must retort. Those thoughts are fire. They consume sleep. They evaporate stillness. And we humans, no matter how talented, must admit our helplessness before this wildfire. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. We have tamed lions, tamed whales in the ocean, but we cannot tame the voice in our heads. It is a restless evil. But my dear friend, do not despair. We cannot tame fire by forcing it to be silent. We can only neutralize it with something more powerful, softer. That is water. Tonight, let forgiveness become a cool stream. Imagine you are standing before a deep blue mountain. From within the rock crevice, a pure spring is flowing. James asks us a question full of imagery. Does a spring pour forth from the same opening, both fresh and salt water? A spring cannot be both fresh and salt. A tree cannot bear both olives and figs. Your mind is the same. You cannot harbor bitter thoughts while craving sweet sleep. It is time to choose. Right now, decide to close the valve of the salt water. Say to the bitter memories of the day, I drink this water no more. I refuse this toxicity. And open the valve for the sweet water of prayer. Imagine that cool stream flowing over your mind. It flows over the hot forehead, soothing the wrinkles. It flows down the throat, washing away regretful words unspoken. It flows down the chest, extinguishing the final flickering sparks of anger. Hiss, hiss. Do you hear the fire dying out? A cooling sensation is spreading. The scorched lands of the soul are now being watered, becoming moist and soft again. You are being cleansed. You are no longer fire. You are a stream, clear, gentle, flowing. Let that water wash away all the trivialities of daily life. Arguments. Drift away, gossip. Drift away, prejudices. Drift away, only the original purity remains. Like the earth after a summer shower, the air becomes extraordinarily clean. The scent of soil, of plants, begins to rise. That is the scent of peace. Inhale. Smell the freshness. Exhale, allows, feel the relief of carrying poison no longer. Your body is now like a still lake, reflecting the starry sky. And when the surface is calm, when the mud has settled to the bottom. Only then can we see clearly what lies deep below. That is when we touch the most precious treasure, what St. James calls true wisdom, a gift from on high, reserved only for souls that have been cleansed. The water of your soul is now calm. The final ripples have vanished into the shore. In this stillness, I want you to ask yourself, what stirred your sleep on previous nights? What muddied this lake? It is often calculations. It is rivalry. It is the feeling of having to win, having to prove yourself right, having to be superior to others. The Bible calls this earthly wisdom. It is noisy. It is demanding. It is full of jealousy and selfish ambition. And what is its result? Listen to the precise diagnosis of the insomnia of our age. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. Disorder. Is that not the precise word to describe your mind when you lie down? Thoughts running wild with no order, a tangled mess of petty worries. It is not your fault. It is merely the consequence of bringing too much dust of the earth into sleep. But tonight, you do not belong to the earth. You belong to a higher order. Look up. Look at the starry night sky reflecting upon the lake of your mind. There is another kind of wisdom pouring down from those heights. A wisdom that does not contend, is not noisy, yet possesses absolute healing power. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. Let every single one of these words fall into your consciousness like night dew seeping into dry ground. First is pure. Imagine a translucent white light covering your brain. It washes away all dirty calculations. You are clean. You are pristine. Next is peaceable. You are no longer fighting anyone. You reconcile with the past. You reconcile with those who have hurt you. The white flag has been raised. The war is over. And here, the most beautiful word for sleep gentle. True wisdom is not rigid. It is soft as velvet. It does not force you to sleep immediately. It comforts you. It whispers, it is okay. Just rest. And most especially, open to reason, or in the ancient translation, willing to yield. This is the golden key. Insomnia often comes from stubbornness, trying to cling to the problem, trying to control the outcome. But wisdom from heaven teaches you to yield. To yield is not to lose. To yield is to trust. You yield the control of tonight to the universe. You step back so that peace may step forward. Inhale. Receive the purity from above. Exhale. Yield every burden to the low earth. Do you feel it? Disorder is being replaced by the order of peace. Everything is falling into its right place. The stars are turning in their right orbits. Your breath is moving in its right rhythm. No more conflict, no more deceit. And in this space saturated with gentleness, a miracle of growth begins to take place. Even while you sleep, you are still creating value. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. A harvest of righteousness is being sown in peace. Imagine your sleep is the very act of sowing seeds. Every steady breath is a good seed sown into the field of consciousness. You do not need to stay awake to watch the seeds germinate. The work of the wise farmer is to sow seeds in serenity and trust in Mother Earth. Say to your subconscious, I am sowing peace, and tomorrow I will reap strength. It is such a relief to know that rest is not futile. Rest is a harvest. The field of your mind is now vast, immense, stretching out under the magical moonlight. The toxic winds have died down. The fire has faded. The pure sky is enveloping you. You are drifting into a space of absolute pureness. Your body is weightless like a cloud. But our journey does not stop here. For this peace to take root deep down, we need to pass through the final layer, entering the very marrow, the dwelling place of the most secret desires, the source of every inner war. We will step into Act 4 to perform the greatest ritual of letting go. My dear friend, the night has fallen deep. Outside, the world has perhaps slept peacefully. The streets are deserted. The buildings have gone dark. The struggles of society seem to have temporarily paused. But why? Why is it still not quiet inside you? Why? When laying your back on this soft bed, do you still feel like you are lying in the middle of a battlefield? Your body wants to rest, but your mind is still drawing the bow, sharpening the sword. You turn to the left, then to the right. You sigh. You wrestle with thoughts. Bravely look straight at the source of this unrest. Do not blame work. Do not blame others. Listen to St. James, like a surgeon of the soul, pointing his finger right at the festering tumor in our consciousness. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this? That your passions are at war within you. Passions are at war within you. Feel this statement. It is terrifying, but also liberating. The war is not out there. The war lies right within your members. It lies in the hands wanting to hold money tight. It lies in the head wanting to be praised by others. It lies in the heart craving things not yet belonging to it. Those desires, they are like rebellious soldiers. They scream, "I want more. Why don't I have it yet? I am not content." And their very screaming has drowned out the lullaby of sleep. You are lying on the bed, but inside your veins, the armies of ambition and envy are still marching tirelessly. That is why you feel exhausted. You are feeding a civil war right within your own body. And more painfully, this war often leads to overflowing disappointment. You pray, you wish, you send signals to the universe, but there is no response. And that silence makes you even more anxious. Why is that? Why are your burning desires rejected? You ask and do not receive, because you ask wrongly, to spend it on your passions. Because you ask to spend it on your passions. Be honest with yourself in this darkness. The things keeping you awake tonight, is it because you fear for the safety of the soul, or because your ego is being hurt? Are you worried because you truly lack, or because you fear being inferior to others when our motives are wrong? When we view life as a feast to satisfy the ego, we will never find peace. The more we crave, the emptier we are. The more we grasp, the more we lose. But tonight, I bring you a peaceful solution, a ceasefire agreement. You do not need to win this war to sleep. You just need to surrender. Not surrender to the enemy, but surrender to the truth that these desires are harming you. Imagine you are standing amidst the messy battlefield in your mind. Instead of picking up the sword to fight on, plant the white flag into the ground. Say to your desires, "I see you. I know you are hungry, but tonight I declare a truce." Inhale. Recall all soldiers to the garrison. Exhale. Drop the weapons down. Feel the tension in your biceps dissolving. That is when you drop the sword. Feel the frown relaxing. That is when you stop calculating tactics. Feel the chest lightening. That is when you stop coveting. In this moment of truce, you realize a simple yet profound truth in the Tolstoy style. Humans need very little to be happy. A breath, a warm place to lie, and a heart that no longer demands. When you stop demanding life to follow your will, peace will automatically flood in like water filling a depression. You do not receive what your passions want, but you will receive what your soul needs most: holy rest. Let your body go on strike. It does not need to serve your ambitions anymore, at least for the next 8 hours. Say to the body, "You are free. Go to sleep." Silence is no longer terrifying. It is not the silence of defeat, but the silence of peace. The thumping heartbeats in your chest are no longer war drums. It is the ticking of life, steady, patient, and gentle. And when the inner gunfire has ceased, When the dust of passion has settled, you begin to see more clearly the alliances you have signed in this life. There are friends you thought were close, who turned out to be enemies of sleep. And there is one you forgot, who is the only ally who can protect you in the dark night. Let us examine the relationships of the soul in the next part to know who truly is the safest refuge. You have laid down your weapons, but look back at the garments your soul is wearing. Are they stained with the dust of the road? Do they reek of the hustle, of social gatherings, of the race for fame out there? We often think that to survive, we must blend in with the world. We must keep up with trends, be present at every revelry, be loved by everyone. We call that socializing, that connection. But tonight, in this naked silence, let the truth awaken you. The world out there, with all its noise, judgment, and vanity, is not a friend of sleep. It is a thief of peace. St. James offers a shocking warning, tearing apart the veil of illusion regarding conformity. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Friendship with the world is enmity with God. Sounds serious, doesn't it? But understand it in the language of healing. Our God here is the source of peace, your truest self, and the world is agitation, virtual values, the flashy but hollow shell. You cannot chase the applause of the crowd to the world and simultaneously desire absolute stillness. God, that is a conflict of frequencies. When you bring your phone to bed, when you scroll through the lives of others, when you worry about what people think of you, you are befriending the noise. And that very friendship is waging war against your sleep. Tonight, bravely cut that cord of connection. Tell the world out there, we do not belong to each other tonight. I choose the side of peace. And here is the greatest military tactic to protect the territory of your sleep. A powerful dual command: submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Step 1. Submit yourselves to God. The word submit does not mean bowing in humiliation. It means nestling. Imagine a child frightened by a storm. He runs to his father, crawls right into his lap, nestling under that sturdy arm. That is submit. Right now, nestle into this bed. Surrender to gravity. Let the support of the universe embrace your weary back. You no longer need to protect yourself. You have a refuge. Step 2. Resist the devil. The devil here need not be a hideous figure. It is the negative thoughts, the invisible fears, the whispering voices. You are not good enough. the future is dark. Do not invite them to sit down for tea. Do not argue with them. Resist. Resist with steadfast silence. Resist by slamming the door of the mind right in their faces. No, I am not receiving guests. And what is the wonderful promise attached? And he will flee from you. Do you see darkness is very cowardly? Anxiety is only strong when you open the door to welcome it. But when you stand firm in the fortress of letting go, when you resolutely nestle into the source of peace, those fears are forced to flee. Imagine those dark shadows of anxiety fading far away. They cannot bear the light of stillness within you. They flee toward the horizon, leaving you with a clean, pure space. Now, only you and peace God remain, an intimate, private, and absolutely safe relationship. How warm this feeling of being sheltered is, like a farmer after a hard day's work in the noisy market, now returning to close the door of his small wooden house, sitting by the fire, completely separated from the snowstorm outside. In this warm wooden house of the soul, you are safe. The outside world can touch you no more. Inhale. Feel the safety of one who is sheltered. Exhale. Smile as you watch the anxieties fleeing. And when you have cut the ties with the noisy world, when you have taken refuge in the house of the present, we will look together at a final illusion. An illusion that humans often spend their whole lives chasing, yet is the main reason they never sleep peacefully. That is the illusion of future and time. In the warm wooden house of the soul, you are safe. But I know a hard-to-break habit still clings to you. That is the habit of a merchant. Do not be surprised. When you lie down on the bed and start making a list for tomorrow, tomorrow morning at 7, I must wake up. I must meet this person. I must close that contract. I must earn this much money. At that moment, you are the very merchants St. James is mentioning. You are negotiating with the future. You are trying to buy insurance for tomorrow with the anxiety of tonight. Listen to the warning echoing from ages past, reserved for minds engrossed in calculation. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Does it sound familiar? That is the very voice in your head. Tomorrow I will do this. I will achieve that. We plan our lives like great architects building skyscrapers. We believe we hold time in the palm of our hands. We believe that tomorrow will certainly unfold according to the script we have written. But, oh friend, stop and look at the truth. A naked truth that might make your ego shudder. yet makes your soul rejoice for being liberated. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? You do not know what tomorrow will bring. And the most stinging question, what is your life? Let this question resonate in your head. What is my life? Is it the numbers in the account? Is it the title on the business card? Is it the dense plans in the calendar? No. St. James answers with a heartbreakingly beautiful image, an image deeply poetic of impermanence. For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. You are a mist. Taste this word, mist. Visualize the early morning mist on the lake surface. It appears, white, floating, covering even majestic mountains. It is beautiful. It exists. But just as the sun rises, or a gentle breeze passes by, it vanishes, leaving no trace, no sound, no resistance. Human life is the same. Your worries are the same. We mistakenly think we are boulders, so we brace ourselves to bear the weight of the world. But in reality, we are only vapor. And you know what? Being vapor is a wonderful privilege. Boulders are heavy. Boulders crack. Boulders feel pain when struck. But mist does not. You cannot hurt mist. You cannot bind mist. Mist does not need to try to exist. It simply drifts, wandering. Free tonight. Allow yourself to transform into mist. Do not try to freeze into a block of ice of control. Melt away. Imagine your body is gradually losing weight. Your legs are turning into mist, weightless. Your arms are melting into the air. Your whole body is lifting up, hovering, detaching from the mattress. Plans for tomorrow. Mist has no plans. Mist just yields to the wind. Pressures to earn money. Mist needs no purse. Mist owns the whole sky. Fears. How can fear cling to something that has no form? This feeling of ultimate relief is letting go. You do not need to hold tight to life. The tighter you grasp, the more it slips away. But when you open your hand, when you accept you are nothingness, you merge into the whole. Tolstoy struggled all his life about the meaning of existence, only to finally realize that meaning lies in accepting one's smallness before the eternal one. We are just dust motes sparkling in God's sunbeam, appearing for a moment, then vanishing immediately. Then why lose sleep over something that will vanish? Why frown over something that has not come? Enjoy this brief moment of appearing. Inhale. Enjoy this fragile yet miraculous existence. Exhale, ready to dissolve into sleep. No more past, no more future, no more giant ego demanding rights. Only a white, gentle mist remains, slowly sinking into the valley of dreams. And when you have accepted the impermanence of your life, when you have let go of the control of tomorrow, you are ready to learn the final lesson, the lesson of delegation. If you are not steering, then who is steering? If you are the mist, then who is the wind? We will step to the most powerful mantra of surrender in the next part. You're a mist. You're light and free. But I know the habit of the human mind still makes you startle occasionally. If I am mist, who will care for tomorrow? If I let go, what if everything collapses? This anxiety comes from a hidden arrogance we rarely recognize. We are arrogant because we believe we are the only ones keeping this world turning. We believe that if we stop worrying, the sun will forget to rise. St. James calls this boast in your arrogance. But tonight, do not view that as an accusation. View it as a reminder for you to cast off the burden. You are not the operator of this universe. You are not the one deciding how many times your heart beats tonight. You are a passenger. You are not the driver. So then, instead of saying, "Tomorrow I will do," learn to speak the language of angels, the language of ultimate humility. Instead, you ought to say, "If the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. If the Lord wills." And let this phrase become the softest pillow for your head tonight. This is not passive resignation. This is active delegation. You are handing the keys of your life to the Creator, the great driver who loves you more than you love yourself. Practice the ritual of handing over the keys. Right now, think about your health. Do not brace yourself in fear of illness. Whisper, "If the Lord wills, I will live healthily," and relax. The responsibility of sustaining life belongs to Him. Think about work, about unfinished projects. Do not calculate anymore. Whisper, "If the Lord wills, this will succeed." And let go. The result belongs to Him. Think about the loved ones you are worried about. Whisper, "If the Lord wills, they will be at peace." And trust the protection belongs to Him. How does it feel when you insert the phrase, "If the Lord wills," before every worry? The burden suddenly vanishes. Does it not? Because the will of God is a great river, and your plans are merely paper boats. Why waste effort paddling when you can let the river carry you? Let this surrender seep into your every breath. Inhale. Receive life as a gift, not a given. Exhale. Whisper, "Thank you." When you accept that your life is mist, and your existence depends entirely on the will of God, you will find a strange peace of mind. You no longer need to guard tomorrow. God is guarding it already. You can sleep soundly, like a child sleeping on the back seat of a moving car. The child does not need to know the route. The child does not need to know if the gas is full or empty. The child only knows that Dad is driving, and Dad knows the way home, if the Lord wills. This mantra extinguishes all the noise of the ego. It transforms the uncertainty of the future into the arrangement of destiny. You are safe within that arrangement. Your body has now sunk very deep, hands completely motionless, legs heavy, mind drifting like mist. You are drifting in the river of divine will, serene, cool, unforced. And when you have completely surrendered, when you have stopped fighting, stopped speaking, stopped calculating, we are ready to enter the final land, the land of healing and restoration. There, your wounds will be bandaged. There, justice will be executed in silence. There we will learn the lesson of the farmer patiently waiting for the early rain. We will step into Act 5, the finale of this symphony, to bring you into the deepest delta sleep. You have let yourself drift along the river of divine will. You have accepted yourself as mist. But to enter the deepest sleep, where delta brain waves heal every cell we need to perform a final purge, a purge of what you are trying to hoard. In this darkness, look back at the fortune you have toiled to gather all day today, or even throughout this entire life. It is not just money in the bank. It is the reputation you try to build. It is the grievances you refuse to let go. It is the plans you clutch tightly in your heart for fear of loss. You think they are treasures, your safety. But listen to the naked truth about the nature of those things under the gaze of eternity. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Look, those worries you deem precious, milk, they are rotting. The cloak of honor you drape over yourself to hide weakness, moths are eating it. When you bring these things into sleep, you're bringing garbage. They have no value in the kingdom of dreams. Why must you weep and howl for fear of losing things that are inherently decayed? And more terrifyingly, look at what you are trying to preserve with nervous tension. Your gold and silver have corroded, and their corrosion will be evidence against you and will eat your flesh like fire. Eat your flesh like fire. This is not a curse. This is a pathological diagnosis of the soul. The corrosion of anxiety, of ambition, of the inability to let go. It is corroding your body. It creates stomach aches, headaches, tension in the neck and shoulders. It burns your energy like fire. even when you lie still. Tonight, let this judgment liberate you. Admit that my calculations have corroded. I do not need to protect them anymore, Amare. Let the fire die out. Let the rusted gold and silver fall to the ground. You are not the guardian of treasure. You are a soul in need of cooling down. And now, listen to another sound. Not the weeping of the rich regretting their wealth, but the cry of a dedicated laborer. Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you. Who is that harvester? It is your body. It is the eyes that have worked for 16 hours. It is the brain that has processed millions of pieces of information. It is the heart that has beaten over 100,000 times today. Your body has mowed your fields. It has worked hard, faithfully, without complaint. But how have you treated it? You have kept back by fraud. The wage of the body is sleep. Every time you force yourself to stay awake another hour to scroll through your phone, every time you lie tossing and turning worrying about work, you are defaulting on yourself. You are exploiting your most loyal laborer. You are living luxuriously in endless thoughts, while your body is dying of exhaustion. You have lived on the earth in luxury and in self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. Do not fatten anxieties anymore. Do not indulge overthinking anymore. Listen to the cry of your body. It is screaming for justice. Pay me with sleep. Pay me with restoration. And the good news for you is that cry has reached the high heavens. And the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts has heard. He stands on the side of your body. He is the just judge. And tonight, he issues a verdict. Order the mind to stop immediately. Order the body to be paid in full, the debt of rest. This is a divine command. You are not allowed to appeal. Pay the debt to yourself right now. Pay the debt to the eyes by closing them tight. Pay the debt to the shoulders by relaxing them completely. Pay the debt to the heart with deep and slow breathing. The feeling of being repaid is blissful. Your body is receiving sleep as the harvester receives the worthy gold coins after a hard harvest. No more exploitation. No more injustice. Only satisfied contentment remains. The rusted treasures of the world have been confiscated. The burdens have been cast off. You are now naked but wealthy, because you possess the justice of sleep. And when justice has been served, when the harvester has received his reward, we need to learn a new attitude of living to maintain this peace forever. That is the attitude of the farmer who knows how to look up at the sky and wait. We will move to the next part. to learn how to be patient as the earth waits for rain. Your body has been set free, but perhaps your mind is still staring into the darkness, waiting for sleep to arrive, like waiting for a late guest. You start to get impatient. You start counting sheep, counting breaths, and then counting worries. My dear friend, sleep is not a commodity you can order for immediate delivery. Sleep is a harvest, and the law of the harvest is the law of patience. Leave this cramped room in your mind. Step out into a vast, immense field where the scent of the soil is rising intensely. Look at the silhouette of the greatest teacher of stillness, the farmer. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient about it until it receives the early and the late rains. Observe him. He has sown the seed into the black earth, and now what does he do? Does he pace back and forth in anxiety? Does he dig up the soil to see if the seed has germinated? Does he scream at the sky, forcing the rain to fall immediately? No, I must. He simply, waits. He knows that haste does not make the rice grow faster. He knows there are processes belonging to the power of heaven in which humans cannot interfere. Tonight, you are that farmer, and sleep is the precious fruit of the earth. You have done your job. You have sown the seeds of letting go in the previous parts. Now is the time for you to learn how to wait for the rain. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Establish your hearts. This is the key. To establish means to anchor the heart. Do not let your heart jump around like a frightened bird. Turn your heart into a rock, lying calmly amidst the field, ready to receive the waters of heaven. Do not try to force yourself to sleep. That is a futile effort. Lie still there. Enjoy the waiting. Waiting in trust is a sweet state, like dry land waiting for rain. The land does nothing. The land only opens itself. The land only lies still and yearns. And listen, the rain is coming. Until it receives the early and the late rains. The early rain is falling on your eyelids, cool, washing away the dust of yesterday. That is the gentle relaxation you are feeling. And then the late rain will come, seeping deep into the earth, nourishing the roots. That is the delta sleep that will come to restore every cell in your body. You do not need to do anything for the rain to fall. Rain will fall on its own when the clouds are heavy. Sleep will come on its own when you stop chasing it. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Feel every drop of the rain of grace seeping into your flesh. The soil of your soul is softening. The cracks of tension are being filled with water, the smell of life, the smell of peace. But I know there are those among you not only waiting for sleep, you're waiting for healings for a physical pain or a heart wound that has lasted too long. You feel tired of being patient. You ask yourself, why must I endure this? When will the dark night pass? Look at the great examples of suffering, those who sat in ashes yet kept their eyes on the sky. Remember the prophets. Remember Job. As an example of suffering and patience, brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Behold, we consider those blessed who remained steadfast. Job lost everything: assets, children, health. He sat scratching his sores with a shard of pottery amidst the ashes. His pain was real. Your pain is also real. But Job did not give up. He was steadfast. He waded through the longest storm of his life. And what was the outcome? Let this hope warm your cold heart. You have heard of the steadfastness of Job, and you have seen the purpose of the Lord, how the Lord is compassionate and merciful. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. The end of the story is not destruction. The end is double restoration. Your pain will pass. This insomnia will pass. This storm of the heart will pass. The final purpose of the Lord for you is always goodness. Even in this weary waiting, He is tempering for you a steadfast soul, an extraordinary endurance that those who always sleep well can never understand. You are blessed because you have persevered until this moment. You are not alone in the dark night. Thousands of generations of saints have lain awake like you, have waited like you, and in the end, they all saw the dawn. Therefore, breathe out a long sigh of relief. Accept this waiting as part of a grand plan. Tell your heart, hush, hush. The rain is coming. The Lord is very merciful. The feeling of being comforted spreads throughout your chest. Your heart no longer beats erratically. It beats slowly, in harmony with the falling rain outside. The field of your mind is now sodden with water, soaked, soft, and heavy with life. You are gradually sinking into the moist, safe, and secret Mother Earth. And in this sacred stillness, when you are ready to receive the miracle, we will perform the most powerful healing ritual. We will not use medicine. We will use anointing oil and prayer to seal this peace. In the stillness of the late night, when all outside noise has ceased, another kind of noise often creeps in to disturb your sleep. It is the noise of complexity. It is the promises you make to yourself. Tomorrow, I swear I will finish it. I promise to change. I must certainly achieve. We often try to bind the future with vows and heavy commitments, but listen to the advice on absolute simplicity. Advice that helps untie your mind immediately. But above all, my brothers, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth or by any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no be no. Above all, stop all bargaining with life. Tonight, you do not need to swear anything. You do not need to prove anything. Return to the naked truth of yes and no. Ask yourself the simplest questions. Am I tired? Yes. Do I need sleep? Yes. Can I solve tomorrow's problems right now? No. Just that. Do not embellish. Do not weave tales. Do not dramatize your life. Complexity breeds anxiety. Simplicity breeds peace. When you accept the simple truth that I need sleep, you stop fighting. Your mind becomes straight, free of the knots of calculation. And when the mind has become simple like a child, that is when you are ready to receive physical healing. I know many of you are lying here with pains, back pain, headaches, stomach aches, the consequences of prolonged stress, or perhaps it is the pain of a deeply wounded soul. In this darkness, you are not alone. Perform this ancient ritual in your mind, the ritual of healing. Anointing. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. Imagine surrounding your bed right now are the elders, guardian angels, the benevolent energies of the universe encircling to protect you, and feel a stream of warm, holy oil, scented with herbs, being gently poured upon the crown of your head. The warm oil, Mangti, it flows slowly from the crown, spreading down to the furrowed forehead, smoothing out the wrinkles of anxiety. It flows down to the weary eyes, soothing the tense nerves. It flows down to the neck, down to the shoulders, seeping into every stiff muscle fiber. Where the oil passes, pain vanishes. Where the oil passes, warmth envelops. This is not just olive oil. This is the oil of faith, and the promise accompanying it is truly powerful. And the prayer of faith will save the one who is sick, and the Lord will raise him up. Save the one who is sick. Raise him up. Tonight, the prayer of faith is upholding you. You do not have to brace yourself to heal yourself. You just need to lie still and receive this restorative energy. Let God raise you up tomorrow morning with a new source of vitality. For now, let him lull you to sleep. But for the healing to be complete, one final barrier must be broken. That is the feeling of guilt. Sometimes we cannot sleep because of a guilty conscience, because of things we have done wrong. Listen to the antidote for the soul. Therefore, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. That you may be healed. Healing is linked to confession. You do not need to speak aloud. Just whisper in your mind. Confess to the tolerant night. Today I was angry. Today I was greedy. I am sorry. The moment you confess, the toxin is released. You are forgiven. You become weightless. And never think that your prayer as a small human being is powerless. Do not think that only saints are heard by God. Look at the example of the prophet Elijah, a great man who was also very human. Elijah was a man with a nature like ours. A man with a nature like ours. He also knew fatigue, fear, and sorrow like you. But when he prayed, the sky was shut, and it did not rain for 3 years and 6 months. And when he prayed again, the sky gave rain. If Elijah, an ordinary human like you, could open and close the very heavens with prayer, then tonight, you with that same faith have the full power to close the door on anxieties and open the door to sleep. The prayer of a righteous person has great power, and you, after you have let go, confessed, and been anointed, you are the righteous person in this moment. Use that power. Whisper the command to your body. I command peace to reign. Whisper to the storm in your heart. Be still. Do you feel the space around you vibrating with your prayer? A sacred silence is enveloping you. You are healed. You are forgiven. You are full of power. Your body is now limp, sinking deep into the soft mattress, like sinking into the palm of the Creator. The holy oil is still flowing, soothing every cell. Your breath is deep and steady. Deep and steady. And now, as you are absolutely safe, we will proceed to the final step, a beautiful mission that you will carry out even in your sleep, an ending that opens up salvation not just for you alone, but for other wandering parts of the soul. The holy oil has permeated deep. The prayer has ascended on high. But before the door of consciousness closes completely, look. Is there somewhere in your mind a thought still wandering? A vague fear wanting to separate from the flock to return to the wilderness of insomnia? That is the wanderer inside you. That is the weak or fearful part of the soul, not yet daring to believe completely in rest. It wants to wander, searching for hopeless solutions in the dark night. St. James leaves us a final mission, beautiful like a poem of salvation. My brothers, if anyone among you wanders from the truth and someone brings him back, wanders from the truth. What is the truth tonight? The truth is, You are safe. You are loved. And you need sleep. Any thought that says the opposite, any thought that says you are in danger, you must stay awake to worry, is a lie. That is wandering. Do not be angry with that wanderer. Do not scold your mind. Act like a benevolent shepherd in Tolstoy's stories. Gently step forward. Drape a warm coat over that wanderer's shoulders. Whisper, "Let's go home." Do not wander in the cold anymore. Here there is a warm fire. Here there is peace. Imagine you are gently holding the hand of that final anxious thought and guiding it back to the breath. Come back here. Inhale. Exhale. You are bringing back a sinner, and that gentle act brings a great reward you could not expect. Let him know that whoever brings back a sinner from his wandering will save his soul from death and will cover a multitude of sins. Etch these two final images into your drowsy subconscious first. Save his soul from death. Sleep is salvation. It saves you from the wearing death of exhaustion. When you guide your mind into sleep, you are granting yourself life. You are being reborn. Second, and most wonderful, cover a multitude of sins. Visualize a field of white snow, the roughness of rocks and soil, the cracks, the garbage of yesterday. All are being covered by a layer of pristine white snow, thick, soft. No trace of any mistake can be seen anymore. All has been covered. God's forgiveness tonight is like that snow blanket, or like the warm blanket you are covering yourself with. Pull the blanket up a little higher, covering your shoulders. Feel the pleasant weight of the blanket. That is the weight of mercy. It covers your anger. It covers spoken errors. It covers missed opportunities. It covers all. Beneath this blanket, you are innocent. Beneath this blanket, you are pure. Beneath this blanket, the multitude of sins has vanished, leaving only white peace, nothing left to torment. The past has slept peacefully under the white snow. The future has not arrived. Only this breath remains. Warm. Safe. Let your mind melt. Melt. Merging into the endless white of stillness. You are no longer a struggling individual. You are a part of the great peace. Hear the final blessing from the depths of rest sleep. O beloved soul, sleep, O friend of God. All is finished. All is covered. Peace. Peace. Peace.